All right, so we are going to be talking about measures of central tendency. So this is what the title of your notes is going to be. Again, measure of central tendency. Okay, so the very first measure of central tendency that we are going to discuss is median. Median is the middle number when listed from greatest to least or least to greatest. So ultimately, as long as they are in order, whether it's least to greatest or greatest to least, you can find the middle. If you just have a a number vomit, and the numbers are not in any type of order, you cannot find the middle number. Okay? I remember median as this. You're driving down 87, and you've just passed county line like you're going to San Antonio. And what ends up happening when you pass county line? You're still on 87, but now there's this grassy part in between the two lanes of traffic, right? Well, guess what that is called? The median. That is called the median. Did y'all know that? No. So that grassy part, the next time that y'all are driving somewhere, when there is something that divides the highway up, that's called the median. When you're going down 10, and there is that grassy part, and it's got like the cables and stuff, that's the median. That's the middle of the set of lanes. So when you find median, there can only be one number in the middle. Okay? Only one number in the middle. Sometimes when you do the median, you'll find that there's two numbers in the middle. When you have two numbers that fall in the middle, you're going to have to find the middle of those two numbers. Okay? So we're going to look at a couple of examples. Okay? One thing to keep in mind is here's a little hint, something that you can write in your notes that go in your brain. If there is an even number of numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, etc., etc., you're going to end up having to find the average of the two middle. If it's an odd number, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc., etc., then there's only going to be one number in the middle. Okay? So let's look at an example. You need to write this example down. So the first step that I'm going to do, if I'm finding the median, is I need to put them in order from least to greatest. I always do least to greatest. You can do greatest to least, but I just tend to always do least to greatest. So we've got -9, -2, 0, 4, 5, 7. I'm going to write this here, order. All right, now that I have them in order, now I can find the median. And so I start with my two outside, and I'm going to work on the inside. So bam, bam, and then here is my middle. Does everybody see that? Yes, ma'am. I have two numbers that fall in the middle. So in order to find the middle of these two numbers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them. 0 plus 4 is? 4. Then I'm going to take 4 and divide by 2. So my median for this set of numbers is 2. All right. We'll do some more work on those in a minute. So let's turn it and let's go now with mode. Mode is, to me, the easiest of all of them. Super, super easy. Super duper easy. Mode is the value that appears most often. Mode, the most. So mode is the value that appears the most often. And just a little side note, can have more than one mode. Another little side note, if no mode, so if no values appear more often than others, then you need to put no mode. Why can't I say, oh, if there's not a mode, why can't I put 0? Because 0 is a value, right? 0 is a number. So if you say, oh, the mode is 0, there's no mode, and you put 0, that's telling me that 0 appears most often in your set of numbers, right? Yes. All right, so let's look at an example. Let's look at an example. All right, so there's my set of numbers. And I want to find the value that appears most often. Oh, hold on, let me add one more. Sorry, I want to add one more, sorry. What value appears most often?
19 and 10.
Does everybody agree that 19 and 10 appears most often?
No.
Go ahead and tell me why.
Because 19 only appears twice, 10 appears 3 times.
Very good. Because, yes, 19 and 10 appear more than one time, but we're trying to find the one that appears the most often. And 10 appears the most often in this set of data because it appears 3 times versus only 2 times. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
All right, let's look at one more example. Which number appears most often? Do what? Say it real loud. No mode. So I write 0, right? No, because if I wrote 0, that tells me 0 appears most often. So I will write no mode. So I told you mode's pretty easy. All right, let's flip to range. Range is probably a new one. I don't think you have done range, but it's not hard. Probably not hard. All right. The range is the difference between the smallest and the largest values. So for my visual, I do my largest minus my smallest. Will equal my range. That's all I gotta do. Find my largest value, subtract it from my smallest value, and bam, I have my range.
Wow.
Told y'all, range was easy. All right, so let's look at an example. I'm actually going to use the example that we have already used for median. The same set of numbers that we used for median. All right, so what was my largest?
7.
7. So I'm going to find my range. We said my largest was 7, and I'm going to subtract it from my smallest, which was?
-9.
It really, really does help
To write it out.
to write it out. And I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of times, your brain, because range is so easy, your brain wants to say, oh, 7 minus 9 or 9 minus 7 is 2. But that's not what it is. It's not what it is. When I write it out, my largest was 7 minus my smallest, which was -9. Now I have to follow my subtracting integer rules of keep, change, change, and my range is what?
16.
Does everybody see that? So really what your range is looking for is if I were to put it on a number line and I were to plot my smallest and my largest, they want to know how many spots is there from your smallest and your largest. That's what it's wanting to know. If you started at your largest number and you moved your pencil all the way to your smallest, how many places am I going to need to move it? It's going to need to move 16 times, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, let's look at mean. I used mean last because of all four of these, mean requires the most math. Okay? Not that it's hard math. Can everybody in here add?
Yes.
Okay. Can everybody in here divide by a small number?
Yes.
Okay. That's all we're doing. But mean does require you to do more math than any of the other ones. Pay attention. Okay. So mean, this is actually, it's interesting because mean is actually something that you use quite often. When you get your grades for Miss Armstrong, for what you made in math or whatever, when you get that, that is actually your average. That is your mean. So mean is the average of a set of numbers, or the sum of the values divided by the number of values given. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So I'm going to use the same numbers that I used for median and range as my example. So I want to find my mean of this set of data. The very first thing that I need to do is I need to add all of these numbers up. And what I do is I just take it 2 numbers at a time. I'm going to do -9 plus 4 is going to give me what? -5. Does everybody agree?
Yes.
-5 plus 0 is what?
-5.
Perfect. We'll write it down here. -5 plus -2 is? -7 plus +7 is? 0 plus 5 is? All right. So my sum of all of these numbers is what?
5.
5. Does everybody agree?
Yes.
That is not my mean. Now I need to
Divide.
divide. So I'm going to take 5 and I'm going to divide it by the number of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did everybody see that? 5 divided by 6. How many times can 6 go into 5?
0.
Oh yeah, 0, sorry. So I add a decimal. How many times can 6 go into 50?
8. 8.
And then what's going to happen?
83 repeated.
0.83 repeating. So my range, so I'm going to put this over here. I use kind of a, not such a great example, but my range is 0.83 repeating. That would be my range for this set of data.
Or mean.
Oh, yes, mean. Woo, thank you. Woo, sorry about that. Little brain fart there. All right. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to glue this into your journal.